So we're in the middle of our 250th birthday, and we seem to be in a real moment of debate about our history, what it means, trying to reckon with it. We have a current presidential administration that has played a very active role in this debate with making demands of the National Smithsonian Museums, other national landmarks, changing long established interpretations of history, especially about issues like slavery or the January 6th riots, of course, in 2021 when Donald Trump lost the presidency. Where do you see these debates going, especially when they've taken on such importance in our modern politics?
Right. History is deeply contested in our moment. I think there are lots of other moments where that has been true too. I am no fan, suffice it to say, of dictates that have been coming down from on high about, only this kind of history, only that kind of history. I think one of the challenges in writing this book is I did most of my traveling between the beginning of 2023 and the middle of 2024. So particularly national park sites since that moment have started to look different than what I saw. I have been really shocked and appalled by the signs that are hanging in many national park sites now that say, if you see anything here that unduly disparages a fine American ancestor, report this site to your federal government. I do not think that that is the way that we want to be approaching history. But I think there are really core, interesting questions that are out there that we do want to debate together about how you have a narrative of a country that is as complex as the United States, that is as variegated as the United States. A lot of academic historians have sort of turned away from telling a national story because they're finding meaning in other places, in transnational, in the local. But I do think it's incumbent upon all of us to wrestle with these questions and of what the nation actually means.
Our history is extremely complicated. We're a vast country, and we've gone through an enormous amount of changes, both in geography, in foreign policy in the last 250 years. And with one of the wonders of history, I think, is that there are no easy answers, and we can still be debating things decades, centuries, millennia afterwards, and finding new meaning and new debates and uncovering new writings and artifacts that we didn't know before that, create a different picture than perhaps, we had known before. But at the same time, I understand, for people who aren't as interested in history, and it can be unsettling that there are no easy answers. It can be unsettling, this idea that it's not just my country right or wrong, that there have been wrongs and we need to grapple with that. And so how can we, beyond just the crass political debates, that our leaders might be having, but just in our own lives when we're having these discussions, how can we balance having genuine patriotism for this country, but understand, having that appreciation of some of the really dark periods of our history?
Well, I think the first thing to say is that you actually can't understand even the figures that you want to understand, right? Even the founders, figures like Jefferson and Washington, you simply cannot understand them, their lives, the worlds in which they lived, the forces that shaped them, without contending, in particular, with slavery, racial slavery, also without contending with indigenous dispossession, right? These were not side issues for them. They were fundamental parts of the world in which they lived and what they thought about. So I think there's that piece, that whether you want these things to be connected or not, they are connected. They are intertwined. They have shaped each other. And to some degree, even when it is a kind of ferocious divide of power or of equity, you can still talk about this as a common history that everyone's got to weigh in on and contend with. So I just saw that at so many of the historic sites that I went to. One of the things that I really like about those sites is that, unlike, our kind of algorithm-driven online world in which everybody is getting pieces of what they already think they know and believe, these sites are just sitting there and their doors are open. Anyone can walk in. And so it generates a really different set of conversations that I think can be hugely generative.